EMP Series Revolution, Episode 7. Tyler Hobbs had met secretly with Carl Fairley a few days ago when he delivered the news about the intelligence he had obtained regarding Frank's transfer. Carl explained to Tyler that he was in the process of setting up several small independent groups, or cells. He went over the role he wanted Hobbs and his group to play in freeing Frank. He also explained to Tyler the role he wanted his group to play going forward. It was important, he said, for each group to act independently of each other for operational security, while at the same time sticking to the parameters set forth in their individual mission plans. Tyler and his men were tasked with the disruption of military services and operations in general. They were to act on whatever opportunity they could find to stop the military from making progress or moving forward in their efforts to gain ground. They were to take out infrastructure and do whatever they could to slow down the progression of Congressman Holmes's agenda. They set protocols in place to communicate with each other as needed. Carl felt that the less each cell knew about the operations of the other individual cells, the better the operational security would be. Later on that evening, Tyler Hobbs and his men went to work. In the camp, the military had a tall antenna tower that held the several antennas that fed the radio gear. Also on the tower was the repeater for the ham radio they used to communicate with the outside world. At the base of the tower was a 50-amp electrical subpanel, which fed the repeater, as well as several tower lights and an RF amplification module to boost the local network signal. The entire camp, including the tower gear, was supplied by a diesel generator that ran from 5 a.m. until 11 p.m. daily. It was now 9 p.m., and Tyler and 6 of his men, including Zeb Fairley, were watching the camp from the ridgeline above the train platform. Zeb was to remain perched there with his .308 rifle. It was equipped with high-end night vision optics. Zeb was by far the best shot in the group. Before the collapse, he was a rifle marksman, having ranked number 2 in regional competition event circuit. Carl wasn't happy about him wanting to join Tyler's team. Abigail was even less thrilled about it. Carl reasoned that Zeb was old enough to choose his own direction. He knew he was passionate about their cause. Being a young, able-bodied patriot that was raised to stand up for what he believed in, what he knew was right, Zeb must be able to serve in the capacity that would allow him to follow his convictions. Carl was troubled and concerned for his son's safety. At the same time, he was proud of him. Truth be told, though, Carl saw a lot of himself in his young son. That also made him proud and caused him to be concerned. However, at 20 years old, Zeb was his own man. Carl had to be secure in the knowledge that he raised him right and taught him all that he could. Tyler instructed 2 of his men to stay in the tree line around back of the camp by the rear fence line. They could cut through the fence and be at the tower in minutes if needed. He also had 2 men sitting separately on the platform, among the few people that remained at this hour. Both teams could be at the tower in minutes to provide backup if and when needed. Tyler and the 6th man slowly and silently made their way down to the camp on the left side, which bordered a heavily wooded area. They sat in the tree line and waited for the perimeter guard to walk past their position. They had timed his round and knew he would not be by again for another 15 minutes. Zeb Fairley, laying prone atop the ridge, watched in his rifle scope as the guard passed. He quickly scanned the immediate area and saw it was clear. He keyed the mic on his handheld radio and said quietly, "All clear, team leader." Tyler heard the transmission in his earpiece and he and his partner ran quickly and quietly to the fence and cut it open at one of the posts. They slipped inside, and Tyler watched with his rifle in the low-ready position while the second man tied the cut in the fence line with wire so the guard would not notice it in his next pass. Out by the blown-up trestle, the military had placed 2 large tanks, one to receive the shipment of diesel fuel and the other for gasoline. Since the trestle was blown up, it was more practical to offload the fuel and store it there than it was to truck it into town in many smaller loads. There were 6 guards on the fuel station at all times. At the same time that Tyler and his men were at the camp, a team was working at the fuel station as well. Carl, Greg, Steve, and Richie, along with Nate and Hollis Bellows, set their plan in motion to overtake the guards and capture control of the station. It was a fairly routine op for Carl and his team. They easily took the station and secured the 6 guards. They sat and waited. Carl looked at his watch. 10:15 p.m. He looked at Greg and said, 1 hour. Nate and Hollis provided watch outside while Steve and Richie went to work. Greg was with the prisoners, and Carl oversaw the op. Richie and Steve prepared the gasoline tank and waited for Carl's signal. Tyler and his partner worked quickly and efficiently. They had broken into the splitter cabinet for the antenna connections. The military was using low-tech gear due to the damage caused by the EMP. The main antenna array fed back to the comm shack via an RG-11 coaxial cable. Tyler made an electrical cable from an old extension cord. He cut a 12-foot extension of the cord and stripped the conductors back on both ends. He crimped alligator clips onto the conductors on both ends as well. He fastened one end of the cord onto the RG-11 connection in the antenna combiner box, black to the center conductor and white to the shield. They waited until 11 p.m. for the generator to shut down. Tyler then quickly attached the other end of the cord to the power outlet panel on the generator, while his partner cut the fuel line just before it entered the fuel pump. He then took out a 2-gallon gas can from his rucksack and fed the hose into the fuel pump input. Then the 2 men waited for the guard to pass and slipped back out through the fence where they had previously tied the opening closed. Zeb Fairley, providing overwatch, signaled to the rest of the team to fall back when he saw Tyler and his partner leaving the camp. The team on the platform just got up and casually walked away, while the team in the woods rejoined the others on the ridge. After Tyler signaled all go to Carl, each team left in a separate direction. Carl pulled his team back to a safe distance, and Greg lit the fresh trail of gasoline that led to the large tank. The explosion was seen and heard for miles. When the officer in charge on duty at the camp saw it, he immediately sounded a general alarm at the camp. This set off a protocol to restart the generator and bring the power and radio gear back online. When the generator fired, it immediately sent 115 volts AC directly to the RG-11 coax cable that fed the radio gear via the cord that Tyler had installed. The electrical current traveled at the speed of light directly into the radio console. The radio signal circuitry, which is not designed to accept AC current, instantly and completely fried the console and the radio, causing a total failure of the communication systems. Approximately 1 minute later, the diesel fuel that remained in the fuel line burned through the generator, and the gasoline, which was being fed behind it, reached the diesel engine. When the gas ignited in the motor, it caused a complete malfunction of the generator. The operation was a total success. The generator could eventually be repaired, the radios replaced. This would take weeks, however. But the 2,500 gallons of diesel and gasoline were gone forever. Additionally, a Section 7 security team had 6 more prisoners to send away to a facility in an undisclosed location. It would be quite some time before they would see the light of day again. Thank you for watching. Please like and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. God bless you.